Hi, it's Mark again for Realty Capital Finance, continuing our series here on the education for brokers and borrowers of our loan process. I would like to talk today about origination, sales. This is both for brokers and borrowers as well. We want nothing more than to find a good borrower with a good property that evaluates, the appraisal comes back, clear title, decent credit, and to close a loan. But many times we find that borrowers are unreliable. They're inconsistent. Often borrowers do not understand everything that goes into originating, processing, underwriting, and closing a loan. Many times they think, I'm buying a property. What are you going to give me? They don't look at this as a give and take, as a partnership. They have to realize it costs money. First of all, down payment. Even when times are good and we are lending as much as 90% of the purchase, they need to have the 10%. They need to realize that we need a clear title. We need title insurance. We need property insurance. We need an appraisal to come back equal or greater to the purchase price. We need the scope of work to be approved and for the after repair value to be there. At the same time, they need to understand that their credit needs to be good enough and they need to have the experience. Borrowers need to understand if we're lending money, let's pick a number, $150,000 on the purchase, another $100,000 on the rehab, $250,000. Would they lend themselves $250,000? Or for a broker, would you lend this person $250,000? They need to have a clear picture. This is my experience. This is the property. I am a good person. I have a good plan. If you pull somebody's credit and their credit shows numerous lates or even delinquencies on their credit and their credit score is 615 or below, that's something they did. That's something that the borrower did. Not something we did, not something the broker did. It is strictly something that the borrower did, and they need to take ownership of that. They need to be realistic. They need to be honest up front. According to everyone, every borrower's credit score is great. But then you pull it and you find inconsistencies with their story. They need to understand that our goal is to lend to them. Our goal is to lend to you. We have no interest in not lending, but ultimately, it can be their own doing that undoes them. For instance, somebody's overpaying for a property. If they're overpaying for a property and the appraisal comes back and shows that, we're going to go based off of the appraisal. If you're overpaying because you have some grand vision that you feel the property is worth more, we'll help you dispute the appraisal. But ultimately, we need hard-core third-party evaluations that show that your plan makes sense. I cannot tell you how many times I get inquiries from potential borrowers. Hi, I'm a new investor. I never borrowed money before on a real estate transaction. I'm trying to buy my first deal. How much money are you going to give me? It's sort of like, would you lend you money? You know how many things can go wrong in a real estate deal? In a rehab, it doesn't sell as quickly as you hoped. It doesn't sell for as much as you hoped. The rehab takes longer. The rehab costs more. Issues are found during the construction. The permit process takes longer. There's many variables of how it could go wrong. And we need to understand the deal, and the borrower as well needs to be realistic. And so I ask to you borrowers, or I tell you brokers to ask your borrowers, have you done this before? Do you know what you're doing? How much cash do you have in hand? Do you have the money necessary for the down payment, the money necessary for title, for county transfer taxes, for recording of notes, money for property insurance? Do you have money to start the rehab? The way the rehab works is that you are paid in arrears. I've mentioned this in my rehab video. Do you have the actual money necessary to start the rehab? Do you have the money necessary to make your mortgage payments every month? Often, we're going to look at a property, we're going to ask for a bank statement to see, does this person have the cash necessary? If we don't see cash on hand for the down payment, cash in hand for the closing costs, origination fees, processing fees, title costs, property insurance costs, etc., and cash in hand to start the rehab with at least 2-3 months of mortgage payments, we may pass on the deal just because of that. Additionally, there is a document called a Schedule of Real Estate Owned. We call it SORE for short. It is part of our application, but sometimes we do ask for a more extensive one, and we have a specific document for that. We want to see the person's experience in this neighborhood, experience over the past 3 years. Just because somebody was flipping houses 15 years ago doesn't mean they understand today's market or how the world has changed in today's world, today's rehab, what today's customers are looking for, etc. Our goal always is to lend and to find a good customer and a good deal and to lend them the money. But all these small minor things that can be overlooked in selling and originating a loan need to be taken seriously. They need to have cash. They need to have a plan. They need to be realistic about their purchase, realistic about the after repair value, realistic about the timelines. Somebody who's doing a $50,000 rehab has to understand this will take time. There's always setbacks. There's always surprises. Additionally, to brokers and borrowers out there, I find that out of, say, 10 people out there looking for loans, easily 5 are unrealistic or just tire kickers. They watch a fix and flip television show, and it looks exciting, it looks easy, and so they're like, hey, let me also get involved. Sometimes they have no cash, they have no experience, no knowledge, bad credit. That is easily 50% of the people who come looking for loans. It's the other 50% that vary from potential clients all the way to solid borrowers. The solid borrower knows what he's doing, did his research, has the experience in real estate, has the experience in such a large rehab, understands the closing process, is willing to do what it takes. If you find a borrower who inquires, whether it's Realty Capital Finance or our brokers, a borrower who comes to us or to a broker, and we ask tough questions, we ask for an application to be filled out, we ask for a contract, and they're not responsive, if they're not interested, they're not interested. We don't run after them. Our goal is to have the borrowers understand that our intention is only for everyone's benefit here. If a borrower is like dead weight or just a tire kicker, move on. You're not gonna get somebody motivated because you want something. They have to want it. They have to be willing. Often you'll find in life that 10% of the people can take up 80% of the time. It's the people who are not serious and are just busy talking and conversing. I'm not saying borrowers shouldn't ask questions and shouldn't take their time in understanding the process. But as a lender and as a borrower and broker, you need to be honest with yourself. Does this person want to do this? Do they have what it takes? Do they mean it? This concludes everything I have to say on sales and origination.